Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Pitching Hour. My name is Ryan Craig, and joining me, my co-host Kurt Kuhn.
Hello there.
Good job, General Kenobi. Um, so, Kurt, as we do it, whoever is starting the show off is the last one to pitch. So, what do you got for it?
All right. So, Ryan, you may not know this about me because prior to us truly starting this, and prior to us plus an extra 6 months, we hadn't
Okay,
really
buddy, I know
talked.
your guy.
We hadn't really talked
I know your
to each other in like a fair amount of time, regularly at least. Um,
Mhm.
I am a big fan of the Devil May Cry series,
Oh yes, yes you are.
which I think
A series that I
I've told you about. And I even have both a jacket of Dante from 5 and also Dante's hot toy figure from
Yes,
5.
and I'll be honest with you. I know nothing about Devil May Cry. I know Dante is the main guy,
Yep. And
and the first.
he is also in Marvel vs. Capcom 3, as is Trish, and in Ultimate 3 they added in Dante's cooler brother Virgil.
Nice. I My exposure to Devil May Cry was I don't know the name of it, but it's the one where he has black hair.
Oh, yes. DMC Devil May Cry. It's the reboot. It's the
I
most
know there was
generic
that.
it's the most generic, blandest shit ever. Which makes
I
sense
mean, that's
because
kind of
it
what it
was not
looked
made
like.
by the Japanese guys.
Yeah, I remember they had the guy with black hair, and there was a scene. There's a bit where he had white hair, and then he pulled it off or it flew away, and he's like, "Why would I ever wear that?"
Yep.
Or something like that. Or something.
That was part of the giant fuck you to the classic fan base.
Yeah, which I was like, I saw that bit on YouTube. It was just like a little snippet somebody posted online. I saw that. I'm like, well, that pissed off a lot of fans, I'm sure.
Yep, it did.
And well, there you go.
And to put in
So
perspective, that came out in 2013.
yeah,
In 2019, they released Devil May Cry 5, not even continuing the rebooted series.
well, that yeah.
As
Um,
as they should have, because the reboot is trash.
yeah, it's kind of it's yeah. 2013. That was what? Yeah, that was also the same years. Something about 2013 or like the early 2010s.
2013 was such a
There was
weirdly good year, man.
Was it though? Because
Well, we
before
got the
the
new.
Dark World came.
Yeah, but like also Iron Man 3. Oh, holy shit, hiccup. Iron Man 3, Metal Gear Rising Revengeance, and the PS4
And
slash Xbox One.
Man of Steel also came out that year.
Yeah. So I'm a big Devil May
And
Cry fan, and
you
the series has had like
wanted to
hmm?
you wanted to do a sequel to the reboot.
No, God no. No. You see, the series has a weird thing with material that's not the games. Um so like DMC 1 and 2, they're both their non-game material is fine. They both had light novel prequels. One's was non-canon for a while because of 3, and then 5 made parts of it canon. Um
Oh,
but then we get to DMC 3. It had a 3-part manga prequel where only 2 parts of it came out, allegedly because the artist quit after pay disputes. So the third part of it just never got made.
hmm
Um, And then there was an adaptation of the first game published by Dream. I want to say it was Dreamwave. Um, Released the year DMC 3 came out, but using the logo of DMC 2. That got it 3 issues in before Dreamwave went under, because this is the guys that it was Pat Lee.
Right.
And like
Yeah.
his whole shit. Um so uh then we get to like Wildstorm was supposed to do like a set of comics, and all that came from that was the announcement, and that was it. And then there was supposed to be a movie that was going to be the story of the reboot, but with classic Dante, and nobody wanted that. And the only thing, or like the first thing to have like a successful out of non-game piece of media was the reboot and its prequel comic. Um, yep. So what I want to do is I want to do a DMC movie set kind of like the animated Resident Evil movies. Um, in that it's set in between two of the games and is canon. It would be set in between DMC 3, which is a prequel, and DMC 1. The main goal is to salvage some ideas from Devil May Cry 2 and the anime, mostly because both of those waste a bunch of shit, like some really good ideas or concepts for
Right.
characters. So it's good that you don't actually know too much about the classic Devil May Cry stuff.
Yes.
So we start with a woman named Eva playing her twin sons. They're about 7 years old, Dante and Virgil, to sleep, and they keep asking their mom to tell the story. And the story that she tells is that of their father, Sparta, which goes 2,000 years ago, humans were at war with demons from the underworld until a demon named Sparta woke up to justice. It's how they put it in the game, so fuck you, that's how I'm putting it here.
Okay.
And fought against his own kind, sealing them away in the demon or in the underworld. He was then left to walk the earth as its protector. The thing that she's not saying is eventually him and Eva got together and had the twins. I'm doing a very generic opening. Like, when we come back from the story that Eva was telling the boys are asleep, and like she turns out the light to signal that, like, yeah, they've gone to sleep. And then over that black screen, we basically get the movie audio version of a scene from 5, which is Eva's death. She puts Dante into a closet as she goes to look for Virgil and tells Dante to hide and stay hidden. And as she goes to look for Virgil, she dies. Like, just straight up, her screams are heard and nothing else.
Hmm.
We then jump to 15 years later. When she dies, the boys are 8. That's kind of a significant part of the story, at least for the first game. So, we're about 4 or 5 years after DMC 3. And Dante is eating some pizza and talking with his broker Enzo, who tells him that his friend Lady has a job for him, and takes Dante to an airstrip to get him on a plane to get to Lady's location. As the plane gets closer to like wherever it is that he's going, I'm imagining like a city that's never actually named, but it looks kind of like New York or San Francisco or Chicago, or like an amalgamation of all three. Just a giant pyramid has emanated from the middle of the city. Maybe it's upside down and like it kind of looks like flesh. It's like a flesh pyramid.
Right.
My flesh luggage. You keep flesh luggage. Well, no, think of the smell,
Okay.
me. um, as the plane gets closer, Dante he sees some like cockroach like demons flying towards the plane, and he jumps out. Um, and like starts flying down in his devil form because he's half human, half devil.
Right.
And he's just styling on the roaches. What I have here is using his devil trigger, styling on them roaches on the way to the ground, even when they form an even bigger roach. Um, and then inside the pyramid, we get like the main two demon characters. Um, Ruggery, or Ruggery, and Malakota. Totally didn't Google search divine comedy characters, which, because, a surprising number of Devil May Cry things, or I guess a non surprising number of original Devil May Cry things are actually from Dante's Divine Comedy. Like,
Right.
yeah. Um, to get like their characters things out of the way, Malakota wants to open the temple, which is actually a Hellgate way to get into the underworld to bring his master's army through and destroy the human world. It would probably be Mundus, who was the original underworld king when that shit was going down 2,000 years ago. Ruggery, he basically wants to Malakota to not do that. Um,
Mm-hmm.
the idea is that the two are blood brothers, and they had been under Sparta's command 2,000 years ago. So when Sparta turned against Mundus, the two brothers, they went with Sparta out of loyalty to him. And this is actually like a thing from the anime. There is a set of brothers that kind of have this bit. Again, I'm trying to like salvage some actual shit from it. Because I don't do a whole lot with it. It's like one episode. It's a fun episode, but it's kind of whatever. And over like the 2,000 years, both of them have different experiences with Malakota only seeing like the worst of humanity, things like wars and crusades. While Ruggery has basically seen the best of humanity, like helping other people, freeing of slaves, relief efforts in ravaged areas, that sort of thing. And even at one point had his own family, human family.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of gets us into like the main theme of the original games, which is that like to be human or good is to be able to love another person. It's why like DMC2's villain is a corporate leader who's an asshole, or Three's is a dude who sacrificed his wife in order to gain demonic power and and was going to do the same to his daughter. Or Fours, who's just the Pope.
Mm-hmm.
And like all the good guys are like people who have somebody, or have like somebody that they are fighting for, whether it be to save or avenge. It's why, despite the line being stupid, I really like the line "Devils never cry." It's literally said 3 times in the first 3 games, 1 time each, and is also the name of Three's end song, which is a fucking banger.
Right.
So getting back to the actual story of this, Dante enters the temple and he fights its guardian, a minotaur, because why the fuck not? It was actually hard to find like weird creatures that the games haven't done. It's why I had like cockroach monsters, because they kind of haven't done that, but they might actually have now that I think about it. Um, yeah, and then yeah, the Minotaur, who when he's defeated, he turns into a flaming spear, because starting with the third game, bosses who were defeated turn into weapons for Dante, or he gets a new style. Um,
Hmm.
styles in the game are like I'm trying to like figure out how to explain it. They're just like extra moves or abilities.
Hmm.
Like there's one style that gives him extra sword moves, one that gives him gun moves, one that's a teleport, one that's a block. In 3, he's got one that gives him 2 of himself. It's called Doppelganger, and
Right.
that's cool. Uh, there's another one that's time stopping, or like stopping time for a second, couple seconds. Um,
Hmm.
you know, so yeah, he gets some wacky weapons too. The rest of the film would just be like scenes of Dante fighting lesser demon hordes and more powerful ones, as well as scenes between Malakota and Rudgery. I don't know
Right.
how the fuck to say this. I should have used a different name.
You're
Uh, yeah, always think about things like more than 3 hours in advance, kids. Shit you not. Literally Google searched it like 5 hours ago. Malakota, easy to say. Riggory, not so easy. At least in the English language, without hearing it first. Um, like Dante fights some lesser demon hordes, and like the more powerful ones, like one he would fight would be a harpy, and that would be like the equivalent of a boss from the games. And it would also be the wacky and weird weapon, which would be a flute. Um, and much like Neven from 3, the first thing he does with it is plays his own theme music on it.
Mhm.
Neven, by the way, is an electric guitar.
Gotcha.
It's also a scythe.
That
I'll
gotcha.
send you that clip later because it's fucking rad.
Okay.
Um, and then like right near the end, before Dante shows up to face the final two, um, Malakota kills Rudgery, because, or like when Rudgery makes his final stand to stop him, and Dante shows up as like he finally starts to fade away, and he becomes Dante's new like boot gauntlet combo,
Right.
and yeah, Dante and Malakota fight, where or like and during it they both use their demon forms. Um, Dante's also changes depending on what weapons he's using. Um, because that it's a kind of minor background detail in the games, but like it
Mhm.
signifies where his power is, or like where his power is at, basically. In 1 and
Right.
3 he uses the power from the weapons themselves, and then in 2 he uses an amulet, and by the time of 4 he doesn't need any crutches. It doesn't change based on outside factors. It's just this is his demon form, and it's fucking rad. Um, And then like we get like the cool end credits from 3 where Dante and Lady just style on demons as the credits play over them.
Nice.
And then like, we get our little wrap up of Dante goes his separate way from Lady. Lady continues on whatever journey she's on, you know.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. I'd buy that for $1 for $5 Tuesdays.
Honestly, I'd probably give this like a C rating,
Okay.
maybe
Okay.
a B,
BP.
maybe a B for badass.
There you go. Proud of you, kid.
Definitely not that S rank though. Did not get that S or triple S. You always want the triple S for that smoking sexy style.
Right.
Yeah. What have you got for me, by the way, Ryan?
Well, I don't have much.
Ryan, tell me a story.
Oh gosh.
You can't see it, but I do have my hands on my cheeks like a child.
I I can just somehow tell. Uh,
Like that meme of Jeremy Renner.
right. Yeah. Um, well, for you, I have. This could either be a sequel to my Spider-Man 4 pitch, my Tom Holland Spider-Man 4 pitch, or it could just be a standalone thing on its own. An adaptation of The Death of Jean DeWolf.
Ooh.
So the reason I chose this is because I number one, I had already introduced Jean DeWolf in my last Spider-Man pitch as a supporting character, but also I had a stroke of inspiration about a month ago that I've been just kind of letting it marinate until now. Again, nothing big or substantial. I don't have a whole outline, just some idea.
Mm-hmm.
So, are you familiar with the DC sniper John Allen Muhammad?
I am not.
So this is gonna get we're going to talk about some real stuff, but I'll keep it short. So the DC sniper, or also known as John Allen Muhammad, he was a war veteran. He was a sniper from overseas, and when he came back, he decided to start using random people as his target. He would just randomly shoot. Like he had no specific um, uh, he didn't go after any particular race. He didn't go after any particular gender or religious or sexual orientation. He just wanted to kill people. And he saw humans as potential targets. And the most effed up thing about him, and I won't really go into my pitch, but the most effed up thing about the case is not just that he was a sicko, but he also had his son do it with him. His son was like 10, 14 at the time, somewhere around there. He was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And they actually carved out a hole in the back of his trunk so his son could point the gun outside the trunk and just shoot people as they were driving. So, and he told him like it's like a video game, basically. Yeah. Anyway, I read up on that story a month ago, and just thought about how like messed up that was. And then me being the nerd that I am, thought about how he kind of had a somewhat sin eater angle to him. So I thought, why not do Sin Eater by way of the DC Sniper, but also do Spider-Man just this Spider-Man movie in general by way of like Red Dragon and or Heat, the Michael Mann film, um, which I know before anybody says, I know that The Dark Knight was already like Heat had already kind of inspired The Dark Knight in some way, but it's also a great movie and you should watch it. It also stars Henry Rollins, it's great. So I would say just do that story, the death of Gene DeWolf, but make the Sin Eater like if we're connecting it to the MCU, make him a Flag Smasher sympathizer. That way you can tie it in with the greater Marvel universe. He could be a guy that believes that the world was better when half of it was gone, and that he's cleansing the world to make it a better place. Um, you could still just have him as just like a crazy guy wearing a ski mask and using a shotgun or maybe also other weapons. And yeah, and that's basically all I got. I have more casting for this one than story wise because I again if you've read The Death of Gene DeWolf, I feel like it speaks for itself. It's Spider-Man. He's at a more adult period of his life, and he is faced with the fact that Gene DeWolf was murdered, and he has to stop her killer, who is just some crazy guy with some sort of obviously psychological issues. Um, but I can't remember if he had like a religious motive to him, but I don't quite want to go that angle with this. You know what I mean?
Um, yeah, I get what you're saying.
Um,
I I want to say he.
I think it was because
Hang
his
on.
name is the Sin Eater. Okay, everything okay?
Yeah, sorry, I had to shut my door because some
I got
asshole opened it.
you. No worries. Yeah, well, I just also realized what I was saying. Yes, of course he has a religious angle to him because his name is the Sin Eater, and he feels like he's cleansing the sins of humanity by murdering them. Um, so yeah, I would have the Sin Eater himself, um, played by Tim Meadows. And the reason why I say Tim Meadows is because I, if you, I think even though he's known to star in comedies, I honestly believe he does have a dramatic side to him somewhere in there. Like I honestly believe he could play a crazy guy like the Sin Eater or like John Allen Muhammad. And Tim Meadows, just in general, is a great actor. So I really think he would do great in that role. As far as Jean DeWolf herself, I know I didn't cast her last time, but just pretend I did, and I would say Maggie Q. I
Okay.
also thought about I also thought about Lucy Liu. Um, she would be a great choice. I thought about Regina King, and I just adore Regina King in general. But um,
I mean, personally speaking, I would say Maggie Q or Lucy Liu would probably be better
for Jean DeWolf,
no, not Jean DeWolf. Trying to think what her name is. Um, Yuri Watanabe.
Oh yeah. By the way, my microphone just went crappy again because my headphones died again. I don't
Yeah,
know why.
it's fine. Don't worry about it.
But um but yeah, I would cast either of those three wonderful actresses play um, to play Jean DeWolf. As far as Spider-Man goes, now, like I said, if we're doing the MCU, obviously it's going to be Tom Holland. And if we're going with the Tom Holland route, the age difference kind of helps because it gives you can make Jean DeWolf a not necessarily a maternal figure, but an older female in Peter Parker's life that he can look up to. And since he doesn't have a mother or an aunt, he at least has someone like Jean DeWolf to keep him in check.
Mm-hmm.
If we want to go outside of the MCU, if we want to say this is like the second or third chapter in a new Spider-Man series, a more adult Spider-Man series, whatever. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. I would say Jack Quaid, Spider-Man. And if you don't know Jack Quaid, then Huey from The Boys.
Mm-hmm.
I think he would be a fantastic Spider-Man. Especially like an older Spider-Man. But yeah. I would cast that actor.
Okay.
But that's all I got for you. It's just an adult, a more crime thriller Spider-Man. It's less so about like, oh, this ain't your grandma's Spider-Man, and more so about let's try to emphasize the man in Spider-Man, and by doing that, also telling a more adult story. Not that all Spider-Man movies, not that there haven't been any adult storytelling Spider-Man movies beforehand. I just mean like tonally, let's make it more grounded. Let's make it a little more. I don't know. Like I think there's something about the Sin Eater that even though he is a very silly concept,
I mean,
it's like
comics in general are very silly, or like superhero comics.
yes, for sure. I think like let me put it this way. I've always gravitated towards John Carpenter's Halloween, like the original Halloween movie,
Mm-hmm.
not because of the whole slasher angle, although that is something that it's like I like some slasher movies here and there, but I gravitated towards it because Michael Myers in that movie, just that movie, he's just a dude in a mask. And that's it. And he's a dude in a mask that went terrorizing a neighborhood just because. And in all reality, that's something that could actually happen. That some crazy asshole decides to just kill a bunch of people for no apparent reason other than he is just so psychologically damaged. And I think it would be interesting to see that portrayed on film, but with a character like Spider-Man, who is already, like, despite his spider powers, he's a relatable character that feels real. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. I just thought that would be interesting to see on screen, and that's my pitch for this month. Is a more adult story told Spider-Man film.
Okay.
So. And I don't know what you would call it, because I don't want to call it the death of Jean DeWolf. And I don't want to call it what was one of the was it Sins Rising? And the one in the Nick Spencer run?
Yep, I think so.
And I'm not going to call it that.
Call it Sins Remembered and freak everybody the fuck out.
Sit there. There you go.
I'll tell you what that story is later.
Okay, sounds good. You could also call it. You know what would be really creepy? Calling it Spider-Man: The Cleanse, because he's cleansing. Sin Eater's quote unquote cleansing the world
Hmm.
of these people that have come back. He's like, no, you were better when you were gone. Oh god, that's so creepy. Oh, and that story also has Matt Murdock in it, and now that Matt Murdock is in the MCU, go for it. You could put him in that movie too.
Hmm.
If you make the movie like 2.5 hours, 2 hours 45 minutes, then I think you could put Matt Murdock in there for a portion of the movie. But yeah, so that's all I got. That's it for me.
Okay. Well then, let's wrap
Yes.
this. Let's wrap this up.
Yep. We should wrap this up. Oh, one more thing. One more thing. I would like the score, because I know Michael Giacchino he's a great composer and everything, but I don't know. There's something about it. Like I don't get his Spider-Man. It just doesn't click with me. I like this last score album for No Way Home, but
Hmm.
I don't know. Yeah, I would just rather not have Michael Giacchino do Spider-Man and just focus more on Batman. But that aside, I would really like someone like Steve Jablonsky, or like, to keep more like fitting with the tone of this movie. Either him or somebody like Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, somebody who can create like this really unsettling ambience, and also just when the action happens, just like really intense, edge of your seat, the hair standing on your arms type of music. Because I do think music is incredibly important to film. I
Hmm.
do think that music could potentially make or break your film, depending on what you're going for. And it should be, to me at least, it should be treated as a character in its own, rather than just background music.
Hmm.
So, yeah. So yes, I would choose either of those, or maybe even Benjamin Wallfish, who did, who he and Hans Zimmer did the score for Blade Runner 2049.
Ah,
So
yes.
I feel like if you were to make this like set in its own time period, like in the 80s, then that would be something that could work.
Okay.
So yeah, I wanna make a high art Spider-Man is what I'm saying. So fucking pretentious.
All film is art.
Yes, all film is art. I do believe that. That all film and movies are art, except when they're not, and they're just
Yes.
like commercialized garbage,
Yes. Or they're just bad art.
like Moonlight.
Well, hey
Yeah,
now.
but,
Hey now.
but even then, yeah, that's we could think it's bad, but it's all art is subjective.
Except when it's
I
not. All things follow a strict and very defined guidelines, except when they don't, which is most of the time.
That's fair. That's fair. All right, I think it's time to actually wrap up the show. It's a
Yeah.
short one. It feels like a short one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
we've really been
we
when
we pre-rambled for a good long while.
I mean, the show is called The Pitching Hour, but we'd never go to an hour.
The first one we went to an hour.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so just quick idea. So I mentioned in my last pitch that I would have Peter be seeing Deborah Whitman.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll say, like, again, if it is MCU, that Deborah Whitman, like, was one of the ones that was snapped away or blipped or whatever. Maybe that could be one of the conversations that she and Peter have in Spider-Man 4. That way, when we get to this movie, she's like, I think you know where I'm going with this, but maybe Deborah doesn't make it out alive. Or maybe she does. Maybe she's just, she's wounded but not dead.
I mean, at that point, just make her Gwen.
No. No, I don't want to make her Gwen. But I'm just saying, like,
We'll have a conversation about Spider-Man women later.
Well, yes. Well, you know what?
We should absolutely wrap this up because we said we would wrap this up like 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, we should do that. Bye.
See ya.